Welcome to the Weather Guru's tropical update for the Atlantic Hurricane Basin for September 5th, 2022. Right now, we're looking at Tropical Storm Earl as it pulls away from Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands northward. It makes its northward journey toward in the Atlantic toward Bermuda. To the east of Bermuda here. As we're looking at the cold cloud tops there and represented by the deep reds and purples there in the center, you can see that convection has increased on all quadrants, starting from the northwest through the southeast quadrants there of the system, and it's looking very symmetrical. This is a sign of strengthening here for the system, and it can in fact strengthen to a Category 2 hurricane by the end of this week, but it will be an open seas, so the only effect will be rip currents and swells toward the east coast of the United States, and also Bermuda will experience whip currents and swells propagating from the system as early as tomorrow in a fashion. So that's great news. So we're going to look at Tropical Storm Earl and also look at Danielle, which is exiting and heading toward Europe, probably as a subtropical low, extratropical system or a cold core low system. So according to the National Hurricane Center, this is what we have here. We have Danielle, Earl, and we have an area of interest in the Cabo Verde, the Cape Verde Islands here. It's given a medium percent, 50% chance in development in the next 5 days here. And we see Earl with current sustained winds at 65 miles an hour is strengthening. That was 50 miles an hour previously. Now it's at 65 miles an hour. Pressure's gone down to 998 millibars as the previous 999 millibars. So drop one or two millibars in pressure. Moving north at 5 knots, 6 miles an hour. Barely moving northward, but it is beginning to feel the effects of that Bermuda high, and it's going to be propagating on the periphery of that high as it continues to squeeze play in there northward and then eventually northeastward away from the Bermuda Islands. So Hurricane Danielle, current statistics: 75 knots, 85 mile an hour winds, minimum central pressure around 976 millibars. That puts it as a Category 1 hurricane on the San Francisco scale. And the movement is now northeast at 8 knots or 9 miles an hour. So this is good news. It previously was stationary, moving west at 1. Now it's feeling the currents there. It's being picked up there by that trough out there in the Mid-Atlantic ridge, the Mid-Atlantic area. And that's picking up, and it's going to take it toward Europe. It's on its way to Europe and Spain. They have to deal with Portugal and Spain. They have to deal with a coastal storm later on this week, Thursday and Friday time frame, as we're seeing Earl follow that same trajectory there for the forecast there. So looking at the advisory, this is it's a 5 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Central Standard Time. Tropical storm force winds extend out 105 miles with Earl, and you can see on here those winds are very symmetrical. So it extends out from the center 105 miles here. So it's a compact storm, but it is full of tropical storm conditions here as we speak. Now also the maximum sustained winds are going to be strengthening here. We're going to be looking at the wind probabilities here as far as the discussion here, and I want to show you that they have it forecast. The National Hurricane Center does have it forecasting to be a major hurricane by Friday. Winds of 115 to 120 miles an hour, but it'll be, of course, well out in the open sea by then. That's a Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. And the wind field will increase. We'll continue to monitor the storm. They've increased here. But we got to look at the conditions. And like I said, it's possible this storm can, but you look at the graph, the Hurricane Center graph, it puts it, let's say, closest point of approach to Bermuda about 250 to 300 nautical miles southeast of Bermuda as a major hurricane, and then it becomes a major hurricane. On Friday. It becomes a major hurricane on Friday at 2 p.m. Category 3. That puts it still well east of Bermuda, some 400 miles northeast of Bermuda by that time, and pulling away. So whether or not Bermuda gets any effects of the tropical storm winds has yet to be seen. They could possibly get some squalls from the banding, but either way, they'll be on the west side of the system, which is which is the weaker side of the hurricane, not the northeast quadrant or the eye wall or anything like that. They'll be on the weaker side, the west side of the system, which they'll get strong east to northward winds coming through sometime late Thursday into Friday morning. And so they may get gale gust up to gale force gust, up to maybe close to the hurricane force, but we don't anticipate a sustained period of tropical storm winds on Bermuda. The Hurricane Center may issue a tropical storm watch for Bermuda as early as Thursday morning. That's possible, but as far as any extensive hurricane warnings or things, I don't anticipate seeing that on Bermuda because the system is going to be too far to the east There will be squally weather, rain, but nothing that they can't handle. Bermuda can't handle before. They're built to sustain a lot of damage, a lot of hurricanes before. Most of the building codes are built to sustain Category 3 hurricanes or higher, generally speaking. So this system will continue to move, propagate north here, as you can see. Strong waves will continue, and most of the wind field, as you can see here, this orange propagation field here, most of this orange color thing, you can see the tropical storm force winds are heavily kind of like displaced, let's say from a northwest to southeast fashion. So that means on the southwest side, it's ingesting some dry air on the southwest side there, and that's why you can see here it's not as developed here on the southwest side here. There is it's just ingesting some dry air there, but that's going to be changing soon. Let's see if we get another picture of here, the visible high res photo here. Let's get some other picture, and you can see here what's going on here as the nightfall approaches here in the Atlantic Ocean here. As you can see, there's a little bit of dry air it's ingesting there. Let's go to the water vapor here. Let's see if we can see that on there. And yes, we can see that little slot of dry air there in front of it here. That it's ingesting on the southwest side out here on the southwest side is ingesting there. But beautiful display here of the outflow. You can see beautiful fanning out of the clouds, and it definitely is strengthening here toward hurricane status for sure here. And so if you look at the visible short wave, we can continue to see that there as nightfall is starting to blossom. The thunderstorms bubbling up, convection bubbling up around the center very strongly there. That's a sign of strengthening, and it's slowing down as well. So it is strengthening there, and there you can see the plume on different satellite forecasts here. Different satellite images here. You can see it there clear as day here. But there is a little bit of southwest shear, as you can see, blowing off of Cuba there, and that is providing some of it, inhibiting it somewhat from growing further and strengthening further. And that's what we're saying there as well. And Danielle, when you look at Danielle, you can see Danielle there. It's a big system here. It's become basically an extratropical low, or what they want to call it, a subtropical low here, cold core low basically here, as it now transitions here out in the cold North Atlantic as it heads its way towards Spain and Portugal, which is going to be another 2-day journey. So by Wednesday or Thursday, they could be looking at some squally weather on the coast of Spain, Portugal, and some of the British Isles there, Northern Ireland there. So this want to give you an update here on the systems here. This is the Weather Guru. Please be sure to subscribe for the latest. Thank you for joining me here once again, and have a great week.